Good morning, you beautiful coaches. Joel here and my beautiful daughter. Yesterday, a client asked me how to remain unattached to a sale. And I wanted to come on here and share my reply because this is so powerful and so important. Once you get this right, you will become so much more magnetic. Your business will grow rapidly, and also you will enjoy growing your business and life so much more, and you'll break free from that emotional turmoil that you're putting yourself through by attaching yourself to a sale. And you'll become more magnetic, as I say, because as Stephen Chandler says, needy is creepy. When you're in that needy, attached energy, you repel your clients. People can feel neediness, they can feel attachment. But when you're unattached, when you're not in that needy energy, when you're in that abundant energy, when you're in that I am enough energy, you become totally magnetic. It's like the less I want to make a sale, the easier it is to make a sale. So this is the power of what I'm about to share with you. And there are a number of different ways that I've used to remain unattached to a sale. The first is creating circumstances where you don't need to make a sale. Far too many coaches I see are in a rush, and really they need to be more patient. Building a coaching business takes time, it takes patience. When you're in a rush though, you get desperate and you put this pressure on yourself. What I actually think a lot of coaches earlier on in their journey need is a job, or part-time work, or consultancy work, or affiliate work, to take away their neediness to make a sale, their desperation, which, as I said, will repel your clients. In the earlier parts of my coaching journey, I did affiliate work, and I worked for some corporates that didn't necessarily light up my soul, but they paid the bills and they covered my basic needs, which allowed me to be and remain unattached to working with the clients that I truly want to work with. So that's the first thing, is creating circumstances where you're not needy, you're not desperate. Also, part of this is actually going and creating more demand, because something happens often when we do get attached to a sale. We almost start spending that money in our head, but we also take our eyes off content and marketing because we assume this person's going to become a client. So we take our eyes off, and that creates even more pressure and panic, because if this person suddenly says no, well, we've got no one in the pipeline. Now, I know this to be true because I've been through this process many times. And my answer to this now is going and creating more demand. And this will do two things. It will actually create more urgency in the client that is considering working with you, because the best driver of a sale is supply demand tension. So if you build demand, that will create urgency, because you can say, hey, I'm speaking to another 10 clients, I need to know. And if you could say that with truth, it will come from a place of power, not neediness. But also, when you create more demand, again, it leads to remaining unattached, because you realize, wow, I've got all these other people that I can speak to. The second thing I would say is doing the inner work. There's a quote, you don't have a business problem, you have a personal problem showing up in your business. And a reason why that's true is because when you don't feel complete in yourself, you go to external things to fulfill or fill that missing thing that you're missing. And you attach your self-worth to a sale, to a client saying yes. Now again, I know this to be true because I've been there. But for me, one of the biggest shifts in helping me remain unattached to a sale is doing the inner work. Knowing that I'm complete just as I am, working on past trauma and past wounds around not enoughness. You know, I was once sort of teased for my size when I was younger, and that left some wounds inside of me that I filled by getting validation from others. But when you go and heal these parts of you, you don't need validation. You realize that you're complete just as you are. And that leads to really remaining unattached in a sale. So I think this has perhaps been the biggest one for me. The third thing I would say is developing a deep level of trust in something bigger than yourself. For me, I feel so in flow with life. I feel fully surrendered. And this doesn't mean giving up. This means allowing, trusting that there is a divine order for me, that there is, that I do have a dharma, and it's my job to kind of get out of the way, take action from a place of inspiration, not motivation, and let go of everything else. One of my guiding mantras in life is surrender to the outcome and going all in. But what fuels this surrender is a deep level of trust in something bigger than me, in the universe, in source, whatever you want to call it. Now, how I've developed this deep level of trust is, one, sit in stillness, quieten the mind. Because when you quieten the mind, you start to connect to the whisper in your heart, your intuition. And for me, it's like, where does this whisper come from? Where does this intuitive nudge come from? For me, this is the connection to source, connection to something bigger than me. And when I get connected to that, I feel surrendered. I feel like I can trust. I can let go of my addiction to control or predict the outcome. And I can just let go of that and commit to my aligned actions that come from inspiration. Another way I've developed this trust is spending time in nature. See, when you spend time in nature and you notice the natural rhythms of nature, you notice flowers blossom and die, trees blossom and die, how bees move, and there's just a certain rhythm. And then noticing and realizing that we are not separate from nature. If you zoom out far enough, we're exactly the same size. So we are not separate, therefore we have our own rhythm too. And when we feel this frustration or this attachment, this pressure, it's often because we're out of alignment with this rhythm. We haven't surrendered to our own natural rhythm. And a lot of this actually comes from reflection. So my very first business was wiped out by COVID. I poured 5 years of blood, sweat and tears into that business. And it was wiped out by COVID literally in 4, 5, 6 months. And it left me completely broken and in mountains of debt. And it was the worst thing that could have happened to me at that time. I remember totally feeling in victim mindset, like, when am I going to get my break? I've just poured 5 years of my life into this. But I reflect back on that now and I realize it was the best thing that could have happened to me. And I wouldn't have known that at the time. And that is true now for anyone. And when you realize this, you realize there is perhaps a divine order. There is a natural rhythm. You relax and you surrender and you just focus on what you can control, which is what you could do in this moment, what you could focus on, what actions, how you respond in this moment. And that is truly the only thing that we can control. And leading and knowing that leads to this level of trust, this level of surrender. As I say, go all in and surrender to the outcome. I know it's cliche, but all you can do is your best in this moment. Sure, you can do better in 3 hours, 3 days time because you have more data. But when you just know that, you surrender, you trust, and you let go of the attachment to a sale, and you just trust that what will be will be. And I know I'm pulling out all the cliches here, but it's true. The final thing is, I'll say, is just putting in the reps. Part of getting to this level of trust and remaining unattached to a sale is just putting in the reps. I've done enough enrollment calls now, been attached or felt attached to enough sales now and gone through the suffering that creates to realize that it does repel people away and it does create a lot of suffering inside. And just by doing the reps and reflecting on the reps and journaling and asking yourself what I will do better next time, it leads to this knowledge, this insight, and this trust and this ability to detach yourself from a sale. So I'll leave it at that, sending you so much love and good luck with this all. And let me know in the comments if you have any questions.